Super. Chalo. So in our today's session, we will continue our discussion with TestNG, and we will come up with few problems, and let us see how quickly we can solve that using TestNG. Okay, awesome. So we spoke about many things in the previous classes, and today, let me start the recording. Yeah. So today, the requirement is your manager came to you and he was telling that, hey, team, I want very quickly to have this set of test cases executed. Okay, so you are working on one of the application called what is that, some banking application, and he wants to verify with different usernames and password. Okay, there is a username field and there is a password field. Here he has just sent you a requirement stating that we need to test with different usernames and password. For example, the first user is Zakir, second user is something. Just write, let me write it like this: US name 01. So these are the list of around 20 usernames he has given with you to you, sorry, and he needs to test with password, different passwords. So this is a list of username and 20 usernames and 20 password. In real time, it would be some XYZ, something like that, a proper username and a proper password. Just I do not have that much time, right? So I'm just writing. So he's telling, go ahead and test whether user is able to log in with this username or password or not. So that is a requirement. Now, for example, if we don't know TestNG, if we don't know anything, right, what we will do, let us do that first. Okay, so that's we will just go here. So let me go on to automation and let me create a class with the name called DataProvider. So now that we are using mm, so I'm not using main method because we are using TestNG. Yes or no? So TestNG helps us to write the test case with the similar. So he has told how many test cases, around 20 test cases, right? Okay, so what you will do is very quickly mm, at the rate of test public void test case one. I'm just writing something like this. Okay, so for few of the people, it will throw an error. Just import from TestNG, not JUnit. Okay, org.annotations.testng, or it will ask add TestNG library. You can do that. If it is not added for few people, just select this TestNG annotations. Okay, so these are the two errors which I had. And one very important thing that please, if you are having any questions, you post that question in the group, because there may be a chance that the other person is also getting the same issue, right? That will help you. So let me quickly do one thing. WebDriver driver is equals to new Chrome driver. So let me import this. One very good question. If I write like this, what will happen, guys? It's like I'm creating an object for interface. You cannot create, right, because it will not have any implementation classes. So that is also one of the interview question which you may be asked. Can you create a object for direct WebDriver? Something like that. Okay. Mm, cool. So after that, you will launch the browser, and after that you need to find the web element, right? Let me quickly do that. Web element username. Yes or no? Web element password. So it should starts with small letter and it should be a camel case. Let me import that. Mm, Superb. So let me write something realistic. Okay. So this is the URL which I'll be using. So let me write it down. Let me write the XPath for that. So yes, all these things we have already discussed, right? How to write an XPath, and also I'm just not what is it, wasting that much of the time here. Okay. So it's a text box, so hopefully it will be having a tag name of ID, sorry, input. Okay, so let me write the my not XPath, right? Let me write the XPath expression. Okay, that's it. And the similar way, let me write the web element for this. I think it should be password something like this, the ID. ID is pass here. So let me just update it. Super. So here the ID is pass. That's it. So I have written the XPath for these things and username and password and driver.quit. So this is my single test case, but this is not the username, right? Your manager is expecting. So username O1. Okay, super. Sorry. Mm. And the next thing was this thing. Okay, you guys have written the test case. Now, how many times you need to write the same test case? You need to write it down for 20 times. Yes or no? Because you need to test with how many sets of data. So, almost if I print it for 20 times, it will be something like this. Okay, it will be something like this because every time you need to give the username and password. So the second username and password is this thing 2 again here also 2. So again the password is also 2. So for test case 2 the username is 02 and 2. For test case 3 the username is username 3 and password 3. So this is a challenge. Yes or no? So this is a kind of challenge for you people. Okay, let me write it as so this is a kind of challenge for you people where if there are in real time obviously the work will be different, so there will be some 100 usernames and password. There may be a chance that if you're lucky enough you can have 500 also. I'm not telling it every time it will be username and password, but it is there may be a chance that you may land up with these kind of situations where for a single test case you need to run with multiple sets of data. So here, if you could see clearly, every piece of this test case is common. Only thing that is changing is the attributes. That is nothing but what you are passing here at line number 17. That is nothing but whatever value you are passing inside this username web element. That is a text box is different. So rest of the code is totally fine. Rest of the code is exactly the copy of the other test cases. The reason you are seeing error messages, you cannot have same name. Okay, if you give different name it will go off. Don't get worried about that. So in the interest of time I'm not updating all the things. So you understood that. Okay, for this it's just that you need to run the same test case with multiple sets of data. See where I'm coming from. I am coming to the point now. The way we started off, we have a problem here, we have a problem here, and we are trying to solve it with the help of TestNG. So now you understood that again, it's nothing here. It's the thing is, it's the same test case, but I need to run with different sets of data. So instead of writing it for 500 times, right, write this test case only for single time. This looks crazy, okay, but how we can pass the data? Every time I need to pass the what is that, username and password here, right? Every time I need to pass the username and password here. So how to parameterize this? So how to run this test case with different sets of data? So there are how many sets? There are around 20 sets, right? How to achieve this? It's very simple. So there is one very important annotation in TestNG. Most of the times you will be asked, okay, just use something called data provider. Data provider. So the annotation name is data provider. Okay, data provider. So you can have multiple data providers. So in order to differentiate each provider, right, give it a name, very beautiful name. So in this case, it is your what is that, login data, right? So let me write it as login data. That's it. So you have successfully created a data provider. Now you should tell, hey Zakir, where you are passing the usernames and password. Very simple. This data provider annotation. After that, just write something like this. That's it. Let me import this data provider. I'll talk about it 1 second. Let me turn off the copilot. It's very fast. What happened? Come on. Come on, yeah. What happened? Oh, maybe 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, Superman. Yes. See, I did a mistake. Very good. Super. See, one example. People who are feeling that I'm not learning anything or anything, right? Even me with 10 years of experience, I'm doing the silly mistakes. So don't worry on that. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very good. So here, 1 second. Someone wants to join. They're very late. Let me. Mm. Okay. So we have successfully created a data provider. So let me do one thing. Instead of, you can create an array objects of something like this, but there is one simple way. I'll talk about it how to do that. So here, let me let me turn off the this thing first. Mm. So we have successfully created a data provider now. So there is an annotation called data provider, and we can give this name is equals to login data. Below that, create a method that will return this object of two-dimensional array object. So it is a two-dimensional array. Okay, so here let me give the name as get data. Okay, so now it is returning. It is telling first the thing, it is telling that, hey, you are telling that instead of void I am using return, right? So it is asking return statement. So now this time, instead of creating an object and assigning some value, let us directly return that in the return statement itself. It is easy for you to remember. So okay, return new. So obviously you should return a object, right, with two-dimensional array. So remember this, just inside this you need to return your values. Okay, after that, that's it. Super. So this is how the structure of your data provider. Very simple. Use the what is that at the rate of data provider annotation and create a method where it will return object of two-dimensional array. Where it will return an object of two-dimensional array. And obviously, whenever your method is returning object, you need to add a return statement, right? So I am directly returning a object of two-dimensional array. And how to pass the values? It's very simple. So here in every set, how many 20 sets are there? At 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just for time being writing 5 sets. Okay, if there are 20 sets, write it 20. That's it. Just copy paste the username and password here, right? So in each set, so how many sets are there, guys? We are having 20 sets, right? So for time being, let me do one thing. In the interest of time, I'll just make it to 5. So these are the what is that, usernames and password that I need to send. So let me run this. So here I need to give username 01 and the password as this thing, password 01. So this is one set of data. In each set you are passing two attributes, right? So let me update the second set, the third set, the fourth, the fifth. So here the username and password is changing, right? Just 4, just 5. Okay, so here also, see now, instead of writing your test case for 200 times or 20 times or whatever it is, or 5 times or 500 times, you are passing the attributes from this data provider. Now these two guys are not linked. Okay, so this guy is capable of sending the data, okay, multiple sets of data, but you need to create a connection between these two. You guys need to create a connection. So you need to tell that, hey, for this test case, go and get your test data from the data provider. Okay, so how to do that? Next to your at the rate of test, give the name from which you need to get the what is the test data. So just use a keyword called data provider. And as I was telling you, right, there can be multiple data providers. For example, there is another data provider which is having this is valid. Let me give it as valid login data. That is nothing but, let me change the names. Why, the reason why I'm confusing you is all these are entry questions. Okay, so valid data. So in another thing is another set is invalid data. Now let me give the name as get invalid data. So here instead of this thing, let me write some X. So this is your invalid set of data. Okay. Hmm. So now here in this case, I just want to tell you that we can have multiple data providers. Okay, data provider one, data provider two. So first one is with the valid login data, and the second one is invalidated data. Now you want to run your test case with valid set of data. So use the data provider as the attribute and give the name of the data provider. So in your case, what is the name of the data provider here? It is valid. So let me give double quotations. That's it. So now the connection between your data provider and your test case is successfully created. So your test case is this thing, right? So your test case is this thing. Your test case is this thing, and you have created a connection with your data provider. So now there is one very minor thing where you want to do. You have created a connection, very good, between your test case and between your data provider. That's really cool. But you need to pass these values here, right? Still I can see that line number 18 and line number 19, they are hard coded. Hard code in the sense, nowhere you are getting these values to here, right? So tell your test case, this is your test case, right? So as you know that this data provider will send you username and password. Username and password, that is nothing but two strings it is passing, right? So let me catch the two strings here. It's like passing a parameter to a method, guys, nothing new. So string user 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 id, okay, comma string pwd, that is nothing but password. So successfully now these, if what will happen is, how many sets are there? First it will go and check how many sets are there. 1 2 3 4 5. Each time in the user id and password, for the first time it will be username and password. Second time it will be username 2 and password 2. Third time it will be username and 3 and password 3. Fourth time like this. Fifth time like this. So now every time it will pass the values to the username and password. So now instead of hard coding, let me remove that values here. So let me give the values here. User ID, and I'm not giving it is in double quotations because that is a variable, right? That's it. So what was it? I have given capital P. Sorry, my bad. Password. That's it, guys. So now this test case I have written only one time, but this will run for 5 times. This will run for 5 times. If there are 20 values in your data provider, it will run for 20 times. If there are 100, it will run for 100 times. If there are 1000, it will run for 1000 times. So that's the beauty of your what is that data provider annotation. So let me quickly do one thing. If I want to just run this, it will be very fast, I believe. Just a moment, guys. Instead of having a dual screen, let me set it to single screen. Oh my god, come on. So the question is, someone is telling it is okay. Seems like I have revealed the answer, right? Okay. Okay, smart. Let me run this. So if you could see, it is printing in alphabetical order. It is printing in alphabetical order. First it will be apple, then boy, then cat, then dog. So let me write a boy also here. Hmm, okay, I should be boy. Okay. Hmm. So it will always print in the alphabetical order. So it will execute in the alphabetical order. The way TestNG is designed is, it will execute the methods in the alphabetical order. Now my thing is, okay, now my thing is, your manager is telling, hey, I want to run this test case first, cat. So this is one test case where he should run that first, and after that only these test cases should run. So in that case, we have one very important attribute, that is nothing but priority. Okay, if I am setting the priority as 1, so now what will happen? This will execute first, and after that these test cases will get executed. Let us check that out. Okay, so I have set the priority because I want to run this cat test case first, right? So even though if in the alphabets it is A, B, C, it is sitting at third position, I want it to be at first. So let me run it. What happened? Still it's not taking. Okay, the others. And this one should be. Hmm. So Apple I want to be at fourth. This one I want to be at third. This one I want to be at second. Okay, let me run that. Super. So if you could see, I am now successfully able to set the priority. So what was happening if I'm not setting the priority for the test case, right? It is taking the top priority. So if you want to run that, give the priority for all of the things. So if you could see what is the first priority, it is cat. Yes, it is printing cat. Second priority is 2. It is printing boy. And third priority is dog. And fourth one is apple. So you will be needing this priority in few of the scenarios. So just try to remember this. So what you can do is you can use priority annotation. Hey Zakir, uh, can I use priority attribute and also data provider? Because you told me that we can make use of data provider. Assume that in my scenario there is a data provider. How to use a data provider? So do I need to remove the priority? No, just give comma and give the attribute called data provider. And what you need to do, you need to give the data provider name, right? So just give this. See, this is how you can do. And let me run it and let me see what will be the output. So this is the output, right? Okay, cool. Chalo, let me run this. Hmm. So here it should see, now that it is passing the username and password, it should also cache the username and password, right? String A comma string B. Okay, let me run this. That's what it's telling. Hey, this is guy is giving you username and password. You're not catching it. Hmm. Can now someone explain me why I'm getting boy? How many times? One, two, three, four, 5 times. See, first priority is cat. It printed cat. Second priority is boy. But boy, it is printing were 5 times. Can someone tell me why? Please, guys, unmute yourself and try to think about it. Very good, very good, very good. See, because this data provider, it is passing 5 values, even though you are using them or not using them. See, here it is passing these values in A and B. Seems like you are not using them, but still it will be passing and running this test case for 5 times. If I'm giving it for only 2 times, right? It will run this test case for 2 times. So that is the beauty of your data provider. See, if you could see, it has printed. Sorry, I have deleted that as well. Sorry, my bad. So let me run this. So it will print boy 2 times. See, because data provider, in this data provider there are two sets of data. Okay, that is on the priority. Good one, Mahendra. So hope you guys understood how to set the priority for a test case, and also what will happen if you are not setting the priority, right? I think we are clear, right? Guys, come on, everyone. Very good, very good. And also, I tried my best to confuse the people by mixing both the priority and also data provider. Okay, cool. So now there are, assume that there are some hundreds of test cases in your case, but here we have only 4 test cases, nevertheless. Now your manager is telling, hey, please don't run this test case. There is a issue in this test case. So you know that this will fail. So why to run and waste your time? He is telling you to not run this test case. So for example, in real time there will be some hundreds of lines, right? So you cannot go and comment it out every time. You can, yeah, you can tell that as Zakir, I can do one thing. I can give the comment. It's very simple, but this is not recommended in real time. So commenting it out. So instead of that, there is one option called enable. Enabled is equals to false. That's it. So what will happen is now TestNG will not run this test case. TestNG will not run this test case. Let me run this. So we should not be seeing the output called dog here. See here we are not seeing the output of dog because we are skipping it. Why first cat is coming? Because that is set to priority 1. Second time we are getting boy for 2 times. Why? The priority is 2, but this is having a data provider. Obviously data provider, what it will do, how many sets of data are there, those many times it will run the test case. So for that reason here it is printing boy 2 times. Here this test case is running 2 times, but inside the test case you are blindly printing boy. So first time boy, second time also boy, third time third test case is this thing, but you have given an attribute called enabled is equals to false. Okay, cool. And the fourth test case is your apple. So that is about enable a data provider and setting up the priority on your test case. For example, there is one more attribute called dependent on. What is that dependent on? Like for example, you want to test a success message, order successful message. Even before you want to see that order success message, right? You need to have this thing. Let me do one thing. Let me write it here itself. Hmm. So here is your test case. So this test case is to check the success message or the notification. Mm, uh, Notification, order notification. Let me give it name as order notification. Okay. So this is a test case to check whether the you are getting the order notification after success. So even before you want to see this test case, right? For sure, you need to make sure that there is one test case where which you need to run, that is nothing but placing an order. Yes or no? Placing order. So this test case is dependent on the other test case. Yes or no? Come on. Okay, camel casing. So in order to test this test case, so you will get notification only after placing an order, right? Only after placing an order. So for that reason, you will be telling that sorry, dependent on. So this test case is dependent on this test case. That's it. So what it will do is, even though you are running only this test case, even though if it is in alphabetical order, it is coming first or whatever it is, what it will do is, it will go and first run the placing order test at the rate of test, and after that it will come to this test case, because this test case is dependent on this thing. This test case is dependent on this thing. So let me do one thing. So let me keep it here and let me run this. Let us see what will be the output. So if you could see, first thing is it is placing an order, yes or no. After that only it is coming to the order notification, because this test case you're telling that, hey, run this test case only after having this thing. Okay, that's the beauty of this dependent on test attribute. Okay, hope you guys have understood. If you understood, give me a thumbs up. I will give you some time to write it down. Everyone, so I have given different types of questions, clubbed different types of questions. It's not to confuse you, but it's for your well-being only. Okay, let me share the code so that you can start writing it. So this is your data provider. So where I was telling you can have different data providers and you can do this. Let me stop the recording first.